Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the LUCA webinar. It is my honor to be doing the LUCA webinar this afternoon. My name is Dan Rose, and I'm the Global Director of Advertising for Telefonica, broadcasting to you live from Air Street here in Soho. And hopefully you can hear me okay, and things are coming through. This is my first live broadcast on behalf of LUCA, so it's a bit of a live experiment for me, but I'm really looking forward to getting involved and sharing a little bit you today with what we do in the global advertising team. So just to kick things off, I think it's worth saying that for me personally, it's something which it's great to be talking to you today, because it's been quite a journey, nearly 3 years in the making, where I've been here at Telefonica. And my background is that I've come from the agency world in advertising. And as someone who worked in the creative agency world and subsequently in the media agency world, I was in a perfect decision to see the quality of the data that the advertising world was using, or I should probably say the lack of quality that was available of data that was being used by the advertising ecosystem. Now, that is one of the reasons I saw such a fantastic opportunity here at Telefonica, is for us to be able to use the high quality telco data that we have to be able to help power the advertising ecosystem. And before I launch my slides and launch into that, I think it's important to understand the fantastic position that we as mobile operators are in. To tell you a very quick update on us as the mobile advertising team, we are, some of us are based here in London, and I'm surrounded here. This is Iñaki today, who works on our sponsored data team. And there's a few others of us here in London. I'm not going to share them with you. We're based in London, we're based in Munich, we're based in Madrid, obviously, we're based in Sao Paulo, and we're based in Bogota. So we've got a really global team with a really global understanding of advertising, and we try to bring that to bear in the market. With that in mind, slides, the deck that I will use to try and share this with you, and hopefully this will be in a format that will actually launch for you, and you'll be able to see that. I've just launched it on my screen. I'm not sure if that is working for you. Is that
complete, just like this right now? It is. That's perfect. Not the complete. ¿Está bien ahora, María?
Okay, I'm just hearing some directions. I'm sharing it on full screen.
Not full screen. Just
not full screen.
That's how it is now. It's perfect.
That is on full. That is on full screen.
Está en full screen ahora, pero bueno, si lo ves fenomenal, perfecto.
You want me to leave it on full screen?
Así tal cual como tenemos, en full screen.
Okay.
Not full screen.
Not full screen. Okay, so I'm not leaving it on full screen. Let's see if this changes when I do it. So what we do is just to run through what we're going to run through today. We are. Is this working, or are you on the agenda slide? Do you see an agenda slide in front of you? Yes. Oh, perfect. Great. Vale. So in terms of what we're going to run through today, we're going to talk about why we as Telefonica are involved in this market. We're getting involved. Also, then the key question is to understand that the digital advertising market has gone through unprecedented change. How is it that it is under pressure? And the key question is, are the telcos, or us as Telefonica and other telcos like us, and I think it's worth pointing out at this point that I see other telcos as our partners in this space rather than our competitors in this space. Are we set to be able to be the third ecosystem? Then I'll run you through a few of our products and the tailored solutions that we have as a team and that we've developed. And then just wrap up with talking about some of the challenges that we face as a business and also some of the opportunities we face as a business. And then I'm going to try and throw it out to you guys at the end of the line, and you're very, very welcome to ask any questions of me or anyone else that I have here in the room as well, or who's on the line. So, why are we here? I think it's very important to understand that the key reason we're here is about attention. In case you haven't seen this photo before, this is a picture of what a mobile lane in China looks like. For people on the walking on the right hand side of the lane, where cell phones are allowed, they can walk there without fearing for their own safety or the safety by their mobile phone. Their attention is so fixated on their mobile phone that they actually need a separate lane for people to walk in. Now, obviously, there's a certain amount of, I'm kind of joking with you a little to share this slide with you, but this is very, very key to why advertisers are so keen to get involved in this market and have continued to plow a lot of money into this market. And, you know, just in the space of me talking to you throughout this presentation today, if you only look at your phone 4 or 5 times, then I'll be doing pretty well, because the level of distraction that's available for all of us in our digital lives at the moment is so immense that advertisers are fighting for your attention, just as I'm going to be trying to fight for your attention today when I'm giving you this webinar. The other reason we're here, of course, is because of the value of the data we have. Now, if we were having this discussion a few years ago, say 10 years ago, for example, a lot of people used to believe that the value in data, it's real-time value. So there was an old cliche in mobile advertising that used to relate to someone who's walking by a Starbucks wanting to buy a coffee, and as I walk past the Starbucks, I receive a text message from an advertiser saying, hey, go into Starbucks, send off your chai latte. Now, that's quite a nice idea, and there might be I'm sure there is quite a nice market for that. But as we've moved on, and as the market's evolved over the last few years, we've seen that whilst the real-time opportunity within data of knowing where you are right now is nice, actually, it is not the greatest opportunity. We believe that the greatest opportunity is by understanding your historical data, where you have been. And one of the sayings that I always talk to the market about, and I'm always trying to beat the drum to whoever listen, is that where you go is who you are. And if you think about it, if you think about where you've been today, where you were last week, where you spend your time going, this goes a long way to understanding why there's a lot of value in historical data. If you've gone to a school this morning, then the chances are that you're either a student or you're a mother or a father, you're a parent. If you went to a football match at the weekend and we could see that you're around football stadiums, the chances are that you're a football fan. There are a lot of places online that are based around cooking, then the chances are, you know, that you're a fan of. If we can see you that you're spending a lot of your time at supermarkets, then the chances are you'd fall into a category called shopper. And you know, I think it's important to say that when we talk about understanding this data, all of this data isn't something that Telefonica suddenly gathers about you. This is stuff which is completely anonymized and something which is protected intently, because obviously any data that we use in Telefonica has to be anonymized and completely privacy respectful. And that's what we spend most of our time doing within the advertising team. So that's one of the reasons why we're here. Another key reason about why we're here is related to the revenue opportunity that we as Telefonica see that it believes. Obviously, this is a very big market. When you look at the chart that I'm sharing with you now, you'll see that the overall media market as a whole in 2016 was worth $542.55 billion. That's a lot of money. Now, obviously, that's not all mobile for sure. However, if you look underneath that 2016 figure, you'll see that 32.2% of that figure was in digital. That figure within digital, an increasing proportion is on mobile. And we're now seeing that the more than half of all digital spending, and I think it's now the majority of spending on digital, is now on mobile. Who are still waiting for the year of mobile to happen, it happened quite a long time ago. So obviously there's a significant revenue opportunity here, and we remain focused on trying to focus in on that prize. But I think there is a but, I think it's very important for us to be very aware and understand where we find ourselves, because we're at a point of significant disruption. We're at a point of significant change within the advertising marketing industry. Obviously, for those who work in telco like we do, and others that are on the webinar today, telco is being disrupted immensely. But in the same way as telco is, we see that media and advertising is being disrupted in a big way as well. What's going on is that there's big pressure for brands than they ever have done within digital, particularly. They're seeing pressure on the return of investment that they're seeing from digital advertising. That said, spend in digital advertising is increasing in a big way, but still, it's still quite difficult to measure. Similarly, we're seeing that it is a lot of the spend on mobile advertising and digital advertising is often comes from digital native brands, and actually some of the more traditional brand advertisers, they have been slower to move with the mobile advertising, and part of that reason is probably because it's difficult to measure, and part of it is because of the lack of transparency that's seen in the marketplace, and it's a little bit complicated. We also have some of the pressure around fraud. There are some issues with ad fraud which have been coming. You know, if you take a actually level-minded approach to answering this question, you'll realize that we're at the very beginning of mobile advertising. We're actually at the very beginning of digital advertising. So it's not surprising that this market is under some pressure and that it's got some issues. But what we find is that there is certainly pressure for brands. Similarly, there is pressure for publishers as well. It's quite a complex market. There is often a lack of transparency, and a lot of advertisers who spend money within the digital advertising space, the amount of money that will actually reach the publisher, we're in a situation which is difficult for publishers, where often for every dollar that's spent within the digital advertising market, they'll only be seeing 30 cents. They'll only be seeing about 30% of each dollar spent. That's a very minimal return considering the amount of investment that they have to put into this as an industry, and shows how a lot of the middlemen inside the industry can really suffer, or a lot of the middlemen in the industry are taking perhaps too much in terms of how that works. Finally, there's pressure for people, for us, anyone who uses digital media now. There are situations where advertising is not adding value to your experience. That can be for a number of ways. It can be because the advertising is disrupting your experience in a very poor way, from a pop-up or video experience. It could be potentially because the advert you're receiving is very it's just very badly targeted. You know, I often see ads for cooking inside my browser, and I'm just honestly not very interested. You know, this happens a lot, and it's very important to understand how we need to get better at personalization and targeting to bring consumers with us. And another thing that we know is that customers don't like the fact that they often have to pay for advertising out of their own data plans. And for us as a mobile operator, we need to be very aware of that, because, you know, ultimately that experience is in our hands, and we have a responsibility as a mobile operator, as a telco, to make that experience positive. And that's one of the reasons why the global advertising team and all of the advertising teams in our OBs from London to Sao Paulo to Bogota actually end up focusing on a lot of the issues that I've just mentioned. So if we move to the next slide, where I'm talking about another issue that we see within digital advertising, that's something that I call desktop thinking. Desktop thinking has been around for a few years, but it's really starting to become most noticeable now. If you spend any time in London or New York or San Francisco, or for that matter in the right parts of Sao Paulo or Buenos Aires, where we have a big presence within Telefonica, you'll see that the coffee shops and the web cafes are all full of people using laptops. In fact, the whole digital elite tend to have laptops with them all the time, or a computer on the desk. Those who are on this webinar today, whether my colleagues in Telefonica who are on, or people who are externally from and are interested in listening to this webinar today, you'll be from a laptop. We are not the real world, because the fact is, real people don't take $2,000 laptops into coffee shops. They choose mobile. Real people don't necessarily have $2,000 laptops to take with them and use all the time. The fact is, a lot of them choose their mobile. A lot of them do everything on mobile. A lot of people are not only mobile first, but they're mobile native, and very often mobile only. You know, there's a number of reasons for this, not just the expense. Sometimes it's because their bosses don't let them use their PCs for personal stuff. There's a lot of normal people out there who are not allowed to use their PCs for personal stuff while they're at work. You know, what do? They choose their mobile. If they have a PC at home, you know, they may have an old slow laptop in the back bedroom, but they'll choose to use their mobile because it's got an OLED screen, it's super fast, it's got a really fast processor, and actually it's a better experience and it's much more convenient for them. So I think the key thing is, when you have this slightly short-sighted view that everyone has a laptop or a PC, then you might assume that many people research on mobile and then buy on the desktop. We believe that having that viewpoint is desktop thinking. Even if it's unconscious, it prevents people truly embracing mobile. It prevents brands from truly making the most out of mobile. Assuming that you can get away with an average experience on mobile. It has agencies assuming that they can repurpose ads from online and run them on mobile without people really minding. It stops you from being mobile first. And for the millions of real people that we at Telefonica serve on a monthly basis, that risks making you and your brand irrelevant. And this is the key thing that we have to deliver to the market. You know, desktop thinking holds ads back. Some of the big players in mobile, the digital duopoly, they've done a fantastic job in bringing their ads to market. But ultimately, a lot of them, ads are really, they're doing desktop ads that are smaller on mobile. They've evolved their to mobile really well. And you know, that we believe that there's a massive opportunity to embrace actual mobile thinking, mobile creativity, rather than just focusing on digital as a whole and not actually focusing on the channel that is mobile. So then we have to think about and look at, you know, what can solve that? What role can we as mobile operators play? So when I look at the slide, asking the question, can mobile operators be the third ecosystem? Obviously, when you look at the digital duopoly that exists today, with the likes of Google being one part of that, and Facebook being the other part of that duopoly, that, you know, they between them represent a significant part of the digital advertising space just on their own. But what we're seeing is that there is a big move at the moment from mobile operators to be able to potentially assume that third ecosystem space. The likes of Verizon acquiring AOL, recently acquiring Yahoo. The fact that what we're seeing is this move from other mobile telcos to really focus and get involved in this area is enormously interesting to us as a whole. What we're seeing is the likes of Sir Martin Sorrell saying that he believes that Verizon and Yahoo can be that third ecosystem. And Sir Martin Sorrell, who runs WPP, my old employer, is obviously the largest buyer of advertising services in the world. So obviously, if he's backing it, we should take this message very seriously. We talk to agencies and brands, they are very behind us. They're very welcoming to us. They want us to get involved because, you know, having a duopoly isn't helpful for them, and it's not helpful for their clients, the advertisers. So there's a big opportunity there. And when you look at telcos being players, you can see a lot of people have invested significantly, from Singtel to Telenor buying Tapad recently, from AT&T saying that they're about to buy Time Warner to move in a big way into the content and the advertising opportunities that provides them. There's some big moves going on there, and we at Telefonica are still considered one of the major players in this market globally. And we're very happy to work alongside all of our carrier colleagues to work with the market we want to get to, and that's the message that we would put out there. We always want to talk to other mobile operators, mobile carriers, about how we can make life easier for advertisers. So now that we've spoken about the opportunity for mobile network operators, I thought I'd share with you today some of what we do at Telefonica and where we spend our time within global advertising. And we tend to focus on 3 areas that we can make mobile advertising better. And in order to do that, we use our core assets. So what we do is, part of that core asset is connectivity. Obviously, as a mobile operator, we provide the connectivity that connects our customers to the internet. And what we do is find ways for brands to be able to pick up the tab for that connectivity. So not only will it mean that our consumers are not having to pay to consume an advertising experience out of their data plan, which I think anyone would agree isn't really fair, but also what we're able to do is to be able to find ways of incentivizing customers that will result in them receiving some data free of charge that's funded by a brand. You know, one of the lovely things about sponsored data is that it's a real win-win-win. It's a win for the brand because they get increased engagement. It's a win for the customer because who doesn't like getting free stuff and free experiences? And it's a win for Telefonica because we get to monetize our assets in different ways. We monetize via brands instead of monetizing via the consumer. So it's a win all round. The second area that we focus is using insights garnered. And again, just to be very clear, we do not take customer data and give it to anyone. This is our core asset. Telefonica is an incredibly customer-centric organization, and we would never do anything that would endanger our customers' personal data. So we take an enormous care and enormous trouble to make sure that any insights that we share with the advertising market is protected and is privacy compliant in every single market that we operate. But when we do have that, we are using these customer insights that we have to be able to power the programmatic display market. And so far, the results have been very strong. The third area that we focus is in an area which you'd expect us to focus, is on messaging. Messaging is a channel that we own. It's a touch point with our customers that they and we use every day. So it's natural that we give brands the opportunity to reach customers using SMS. But obviously where we do this is on an opt-in basis. So any messages that we send out as a carrier, customers have the immediate opportunity to opt out whenever they want. But this is and will continue to be a strong part of our business, and one that we invest our time. So as you can see, we focus between, if we look at our product slide, you can see that we focus between our audience data, looking at display messaging and bulk messaging, which is where we send and we give other people the ability to send messages to customers as long as they've got permission to do so. And then finally, our connectivity data, using a product called sponsored data. And you can see this is where we split this into two different areas. One is brand sponsored data, which is where what we're doing is we make everything from web to videos free of charge for customers, but that's sponsored by a brand. And I'll show you a quick case study from that in a moment, to data rewards, where we incentivize customers to interact with brands, and we will give them some megabytes, some connectivity in order for doing that. On our audience data side, we work with our partners on display and programmatic, like Axonics, which is our programmatic platform where we bring our data into the market. And you may have seen in the press that we recently acquired a company called Static, which is really exciting for us here at Global Advertising, where what we're able to do is use Static, who are a location intelligence company, where Static are able to understand the relationship between people and places over time, work with the programmatic ecosystem to be able to provide insights around location. And on messaging and bulk, obviously there are different partners that we work with as well, which is exciting to us. So if we break down a little bit and we look through some case studies, I've shared with you 3 case studies today. The first is around awareness. Now, awareness is probably the driver of most advertising campaigns globally. The case study I'm sharing is Dove. Dove belongs to Unilever, which you may know is one of the world's largest advertisers. I believe it's the world's 2nd largest advertisers, spending over 6 billion euros a year. Now, something we do, the awareness case study I wanted to share for Dove, this is actually related to sponsored data, but it's not just any sponsored data. This is using something called data rewards that I just mentioned with you as well. Now, on data rewards, what we're able to do in Brazil is to understand when people are accessing the internet, and obviously as we do with any other customer, we're able to understand when they're coming to the end of their data plan. And in Brazil, approximately 30% of our customers hit their data wall every single month. Now, that is a problem for those customers, but we believe that's also an opportunity for brands, that we've tried to make life better for everybody involved. So what we've done is when these customers come to the end of their data plan, we are able to give them the opportunity to interact with a brand and receive more data. So the example that we have today is for Dove, and as you can see, this was targeted, so we know who we're talking to. We served 1.8 million impressions, and what we're able to do is to tell these customers that if they watch this video, then they would receive I think this is a 60 meg reward for watching a video. Now, when we had this, we had a very strong response, as you can imagine, because Brazil, like many of other markets, data is what people want. It's the connectivity, and data usage within Telefonica telcos is increasing massively. So this ties in with that trend and allows brands to make life easier. So the response that we had to this was very, very strong, and we were able to really directly compete with other players here. And our understanding is that we actually the responses that we had here were better than received on the other digital duopoly. So we're very happy with that. Second case study that I'm going to mention to you today is more related to display, SMS, and MMS, and it's related to driving retail footfall. This is something which is growing increasingly important within the advertising space as the online and offline world starts to combine. And using mobile advertising to be able to change behavior within the offline world and physical spaces is becoming more and more important. This case study that I'm sharing is from a brand called Mimos. I hope I've pronounced it okay. For those Spanish speakers, they'll probably tell me that. Have I pronounced it correctly, Iñaki? Mimos? Mimos. 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 Okay, there we go. So Mimos, they wanted to drive footfall to their physical stores. In order to do that, we used data, and we used data which was obviously anonymized and opted in to be able to drive footfall to their stores. We ran display to their consumers, as well as SMS and MMS, to be able to give them a really personalized and branded experience. And as you can see, the results are very, very strong. It was run in 4 cities in Colombia, and sales increased by 74%. So a really strong case study there for Mimos. The final case study that I'm going to share with you is around driving engagement, which really is the heart of what every brand wants to be able to do. And driving that engagement is so important, and within digital has never been something that has been more important. The first one, the first example of driving engagement is brand sponsored data that I referred to a little bit earlier. The example I'll use here is Netshoes. Netshoes are one of the largest apparel e-commerce players inside Brazil, and what they wanted to be able to do was increase engagement. They were aware that they might get much stronger engagement with their consumers if their consumers didn't have to pay through their data plans to use their app all the time, and that this would potentially allow them to use their data for other things. So by effectively making the use of their app zero while they're using it, they had a significant growth in mobile on the way, a 60% rise in the growth of mobile when they applied brand sponsored data in Brazil. This was a big response, and this worked so well for Netshoes that they're currently looking at rolling that out in other markets. In the banking sector, one of our original clients, Bradesco Bank, obviously Bradesco Bank, for them, moving people onto their banking app was very, very important. But again, they realized that if they made this app free to use for people who are on the go, then they might make life a lot easier for their customers. And for them, it was a slightly different business model. If you're a bank, it's not just about increasing dwell time as Netshoes. For a bank, they want to get more people using their online services via their app, which in turn means less people are calling their call center and less people are going into their physical stores. That is a real cost saving for them. So in the case of the banks, this is about a cost saving. It drives efficiency for the business as well as making life easier for their customers. So it's a real win-win-win. The final example is an SMS and MMS example that was run inside for Philadelphia, which is part of Kraft Foods inside the UK. And this was run in order to send to a targeted base, in order to send people to a special promotion afterwards. And what we can see with that is that the growth in visiting the website increased by 17%, which is that's really shifting the needle for brands. So as we can see, and when we look at the results, Netshoes an increase in 60% to mobile, Bradesco an increase in 318% in terms of growth in mobile banking amongst their customers on mobile, and 17% for the Philadelphia example, generating really strong responses. I don't think this video is going to. I don't think this video will work. So I'm not going to. I'm not going to run the video, but I will make sure that we send it out to all of the attendants for this webinar to have a look at it afterwards. Because this Netshoes case study really is very impressive, and I'd like to share it with you so you can understand just the impact that it had on the Netshoes base. But I don't think that is going to work today. So I will leave that for today. So, moving towards the end of our presentation, I think it's important to look at some of the challenges and also the opportunities that we have. If we look at some of the challenges that we have as a business within advertising, we can see that from a regulation perspective, it is something which we need to be very, very on top of. At Telefonica, we are incredibly vigilant and incredibly careful about how our data is used, and that's something that we need to continue to do. Any regulations around data, we need to stay completely on top of, and that's what a lot of our teams in both the global team and the local OBs at Telefonica are doing all over the world to make sure that our customers' data is cared for. And as we move into the area of GDPR, which is a new European legislation which is due to be released next year, this regulation around privacy will only increase. Now, for us at Telefonica, we have anticipated this and we understand this, and that's just one of the reasons that we have introduced the fourth platform and the brilliant new product, Aura, which you might have seen that was launched at Mobile World Congress by our Chief Data Officer, Chema Alonso. You know, what you'll see is that what this allows us to do is to actually not just really embrace GDPR, but be able to make sure that anything we do provides that level of transparency and empowerment to our customers in a way which really benefits them and benefits Telefonica at the same time. So this is a real win-win situation. Next, so we've really turned a challenge into an opportunity there. Next, from a landscape perspective, obviously, you know, we recognise that the advertising market is fairly fragmented, and it's very important that we draw this all together and have a very single approach to market, and that's why we've taken a focused approach, and that's one of the benefits of working in the fourth platform, and one of the benefits of working with our partners such as Axonics, which takes a very clear and focused approach in making sure that our customers' data is handled very responsibly. Finally, in the market that telcos are a little bit slow to move. It's something that we're very keen to put to bed and keen to move on from. But I think we're showing that we're starting to move a lot faster. And what we've seen, not just from us, but from other telcos in the market, is that we're now starting to really get involved and we're starting to see some traction in the market. So just to tie things up, the opportunity. As you can hear from me, I remain extremely passionate and I have belief about the opportunity for mobile network operators in the advertising market. There's a real opportunity for us to be able to help brands with not just better targeting, but also make them have a more relevant and personalized experience. And we as at Telefonica, but other perfectly placed to be able to solve this problem for customers and brands. Also a great opportunity for us with the likes of our sponsored data products to stop consumers having to pay for advertising through their data bundle, which anyone would agree isn't really fair. And to be able to use this connectivity, these megabytes, to be able to allow them and to encourage them to interact with brands. And finally, there's a very clear path for data monetization with all mobile network operators. It shows that we can be relevant in this space. The brands want us to be here, and all of our agency partners, the publisher partners that we work with, are happy that mobile network operators like Telefonica are in this space. So we believe there's a clear win for our customers, a clear win for the advertising market, and a clear win for Telefonica. So with that, just remains to me to say that we're very lucky to work with some of the biggest brands in the world across our OBs, from London to Sao Paulo to Munich. And to wrap up the webinar there, and to say thank you very much for taking some time out of your day and joining us, joining me on the webinar today. So thank you very much. If you have any questions,
We have to hear actually.
I'm just hearing that we have some questions. That's awesome. I think let me just shut down my presentation so we can maybe go. Yeah. So I'll just okay. So there will be a minute. What do your case studies show regarding age group, gender, devices, and other miscellaneous, and best overall results by the advertising agency? Age group. That's quite, thank you for the question, Javier. That's quite a big question. There is around sponsored data. I'd say that we're always learning as we go along. But what we've seen so far is that, which you might have seen from some of the case studies that I just shared on sponsored, is that we've seen a big result in the banking industry, and banking customers. Is that skewed? Is that skewed to any one age group? My understanding is that it's not, that it's actually quite the way across, and that a product like sponsored data really does work across the age spectrum, and is more likely to change depending on which country you're from than necessarily how old you are. So we'd see it on a country by country basis difference rather than necessarily on an age difference. But that's really how we see things. In terms of on a device level, that there probably are some answers there, but I don't have them with me at the moment. Media, games. Yeah, I think for that, I just shared an FMCG example just now, that we showed the Dove examples that shows that for data awards, this could work really well. The area that we've started is in m-commerce and banking, and that's the area where we've had the most cut through. But we believe that 2017 will be the year where we're going to increase that and roll that out to other areas. So watch this space to see other verticals that we're going to start attacking and going to start getting on top of. And if you have any other thoughts, and if there are any areas that you would love to hear from you, and I'd love to hear any thoughts that you have on that might be of use. But thanks very much for your questions. Are there any other questions that anybody has? I don't have it on my screen here, but my colleagues will share with me if you do have any other questions.
No, I think we'll just.
Yeah, up here, so if there is any. Okay. I don't think there is on my Bitcoin. No, I think that looks like there are any others. Let's just, if we give it a moment to see if anyone else has any other questions, please do feel free. I think we have a couple of minutes to accept any questions. It's a shame we can't interact live on a video basis, but I think that's it. Guys, thank you so much for your time today. It's great. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to listen to this. It's been my pleasure to present on a LUCA webinar to you. If you have any other questions or you'd like any more information, please don't hesitate to get in touch with me or one of the team at LUCA to find out some more. So with that, it just remains for me to say thanks very much. Have a good rest of your day, and adios.